Well, my name's Dan Costello, and I am the General Education Services Director at GRREC. And most of you are probably familiar with GRREC, and we'll talk about GRREC a little bit more here in just a minute. But I want to share with you some information about GRREC Ed. And GRREC Ed is a continuing education program that just got started. Our first groups started in January, and we've got 85 candidates on board who are going through an amazing process of learning and growing professionally. And that's not only going to help them become a better teacher, become a better educator, but obviously it's going to help them earn more money. We're super excited about the opportunities this presents to educators throughout Kentucky. If I can get this to go, there we go. So GRREC, as many of you know, is the Green River Regional Education Body. We serve 45 school districts, about 358 schools, more than 10,100 teachers, and over 175,000 kids. So lots going on, lots of great services we're able to offer our districts. Professional development is what most of you all are probably familiar with. Many of you have been here for professional development, probably not over the past year. I know we're coming up on the big anniversary of March 13th and how that changed our entire worlds, personally and professionally. But we're looking forward to things settling down a little bit, hopefully very soon, and being able to bring more people into our building and work with them more hands-on and more one-on-one. Here at GRREC, Mr. Bart Fleener is our executive director. Bart is the former superintendent at Russellville City Schools. He started here in July as executive director. Dr. Kelly Davis, I'll jump over to her. She's been here for several years, and she is the Exceptional Education Early Childhood Services Director. And she works with our special education folks, English learners, gifted and talented, early childhood. And as I mentioned, I'm Dan Costello. I've been with GRREC for 5 months or so. I started here at the end of October. My experience is as a high school agriculture teacher for 15 years. Then I went to South Warren Middle School as the assistant principal. I was there for 4 years and got to my ultimate goal of being an elementary school principal. And I did that at Richmond Elementary for 6 years. And then last fall, this opportunity came along, and it was a great opportunity, and it's been a wonderful experience so far. I get to see things on a much bigger scale. I told somebody the other day I felt like I kind of had this roof on me because I was in the school, I was in the district, and I didn't see much beyond that. But now you really see a big picture of what's going on. And GRREC does so many great things, working with people across the state, working with Kentucky Department of Education, our commissioner, and lots of other people. And so we're able to provide a lot of help and a lot of assistance to you all as educators, to our superintendents, and everyone throughout the district. Our GRREC Ed staff, we don't officially have like a GRREC Ed staff, but this is from our webpage, and this just shows you all the people right now who are directly involved with GRREC Ed. And pretty much everybody on here is either a cohort facilitator, and we'll talk more about that. We bring in, this year we've got 4 cohorts of students, and typically range 20 to 25 candidates, we call them. And so these individuals are either the cohort facilitators or they are content cadre leaders. And again, we'll talk more about that, but as you look through here, for example, Dr. Grace Absher is the first one there. She not only leads cohort 4, but she also works with special education content. And that's in addition to her special education inclusion consultant position here at GRREC. So pretty much everybody you see on here is employed by GRREC, except for Katie Embry. She's a PE teacher who's working with our PE students who are in GRREC Ed. But everyone else here works with GRREC or at GRREC in some capacity as a regular part of their job. Great people, great, so knowledgeable. I've been blown away just in my 5 months. I knew they had great people. I knew they had great staff just in my experience working with GRREC. But I've just been completely blown away with how they've stepped up and helped us develop GRREC Ed into something that's really going to be a meaningful, impactful program. All right, I want to show you this video real quick. If you know Terry Stice, Terry is an expert in many things related to technology, and she created this little video. I just want to come back real quick and just say a few more people have jumped on. I just want to say real quick, thank you for joining us today. I aim to take about another 20 minutes of your time, and then you can go whenever you need to. You can stay on, I can answer some questions for you. But I just want to give you a quick overview of GRREC Ed and what it's doing and how it might impact your professional and personal lives. And then hopefully we'll be able to see some of you all getting on board here in the next few months, or maybe in the next year or two. So, all right, so GRREC Ed. GRREC Ed is a cost-effective route for any Kentucky educator to earn a rank change. So you don't have to just be in the GRREC region. You can be anywhere in Kentucky. We're recognized by OELE, and I'll talk more about that here in a minute. It's formerly EPSB. So anyone who wants to earn a rank change through GRREC Ed who works full-time in Kentucky can do that. One of the coolest things about this is it's peer collaboration. So we set this up as a cohort model, and you got an individual mentor from your district, typically, who's going to work with you to support you throughout the journey. And they're going to give you feedback. They're going to meet with you periodically throughout the semester and help guide you and make this a more enriched experience. I'll tell you real quick, if you're taking notes, I will share this slideshow. I'll probably post it on our Twitter feed. So when we get to the end, you'll see our Twitter handle, and you can search for us, of course, and find us. But I'll post this on there, and in the next day or two, I'll have a link to this video. So if you want to show it, if you want to watch it again, or if you want to show it to somebody, then you can do that. So just letting you know that. This is a rigorous, authentic, job-embedded professional learning experience. And so we want this to be a realistic experience. A lot of times when we went through one of our either undergraduate degree or graduate degree, and nothing against their programs. I mean, obviously there's lots of great programs through our university partners, but sometimes they're already set for you. You don't have a lot of decision making in what you take and what route you go. Certainly you can choose your major, you take courses along that route. But the great thing about GRREC Ed is we give you a lot of flexibility. We want you to make this meaningful for you. We want you to be able to use this both now and down the road. So it's a really, really cool opportunity. And what it's not, one thing that it's not a quick, easy route to a rank change. And we've not had anybody really think that so far, especially once they learn a little bit about it. We're not, I don't want you to worry that it's going to be like, you know, we're not going to get to the end and you're not going to have like these big comps you have to study for or final exams. But we want the end products to be things that you can use. We want this to be a part, again, of what you're doing right now, either in your classroom or your district or your school, or what you might do down the road. So it's 2 years, and we're going to talk about that a little bit more, but it is meaningful. And so I'm sure all of you all have been through programs before where either you worked really hard and at the other end of it, you didn't feel like you got a whole lot from it. But then when you got something from it and you were really able to apply it, it was so meaningful to you. And that's what we want GRREC Ed to be. All right, so I'll tell you a little bit about GRREC Ed and how it came about, because this is a new thing and it's probably not something anyone's familiar with. And I gotta be honest, I'm in charge of GRREC Ed, but when I got hired back in October, I knew very little about a continuing education option. I didn't know what that was, didn't know how it worked. And so I've learned a lot in the last few months. But just to give you a quick overview, if you've been around more than 2 or 3 years, you know or may know that Kentucky removed their master's degree requirement in the fall of 2018. So typically you had to get started on that within 5 years, and then once you started, the clock turned on and you had 5 years to finish it. That's no longer required. You can teach your whole career with a bachelor's degree. So that was taken away. And the EPSB announced OELE, got to thinking about this, and they thought, we want to create opportunities for educators to get continuing education, and maybe not necessarily in the form of a university degree, but what other options can cooperatives, maybe even universities, districts, what can they create that's a little bit different than a master's degree, but also gives someone, or a rank 1, but also gives them a rank change. So they encouraged us and others to put forth our proposals. GRREC began thoughts of this at least about 2019, began working on it, and final copy was submitted in June of 2020. So almost a year and a half. I remember hearing about this in 2019 that they were going to do this, but it was a long process, and there were 27 different points that OELE required each of these groups to meet. And I think right off the bat, we hit 24 of them. So need a little bit of tweaking, but we submitted the final copy in June of 2020, and our plan was approved last fall, October 2020. So this rank change, as I said, it is recognized in any Kentucky school district, and it goes on your teaching certificate. I've had several people say, well, what if I go to Tennessee? Can I take that rank change with me? You can go and you can ask, but we don't have a partnership at this time to know for sure if they would recognize it. They might. We just don't know if they will. Kentucky, and as long as you're in Kentucky, that rank change will stay with you. Certainly, if you go to another state and you come back, it's still here. But as of right now, we know for sure it's recognized by Kentucky. All right, a few terms that you will run across as you start learning about GRREC. First of all, is AEA, Accomplished Educator Academy, and this is recommended for those with 1 to 5 years of teaching experience. And it's based on the Kentucky Teacher Performance Standards, and there's 10 standards. And then the other route that you can take is PEA, Professional Educator Academy. And this is recommended for those with 5 or more years teaching experience, and it's based on the Kentucky Teacher Leadership Standards. Now, you're not required to go either way. You know, if you're somebody in your 3rd year and you feel very strongly that you want to do the Professional Educator Academy, that's okay. You can talk to your content, your cohort leader and work that out. But typically, this is the route that you would go. And we'll explain a little bit more about that here in just a minute. A quick overview, these are both based on the Danielson framework. So those domains of planning, environment, instruction, professionalism, those are your general areas, which again, we'll look at here. And then you've got a couple of other components. So the classroom component is what the Danielson framework is based on. You have a content component and a capstone. And typically, this will take 2 years. And some people say, well, can I do it quicker? We have set this up right now to be a 2-year program. If you need a little bit longer, then we'll extend that up to a couple more years. But we really think it's extremely reasonable because we've designed this to be so job embedded and so realistic and so much a part of what you're already doing or want to do that it should be no problem unless you have a situation, something comes up, unforeseen. Most people should be able to finish this in 2 years. But we want to work with you. We want you to get through it, and we want you to get that rank change. All right, so if you're looking at this, and you can look at this a little bit more in detail later when I share these slides on our Twitter page. But as I mentioned, there are 3 big components. We have a classroom component, content component, and a capstone component. So we'll look at them just a little bit more closely here. So if you're in the accomplished educator category, this is going to be based more on the Danielson framework of and the teacher performance standards of just classroom-based practices. So if you want to learn more about standards-aligned instruction, or if you want to learn about continual improvement of your practice as an educator, this is where you would be. And so you're going to choose, over the 2 years, you're going to choose 12 of these 22 domain indicators. So you may choose all of them, like environment is up there in the top corner. So you might choose, there are different domains in environment. You might do those 6 in the first year. So you've got half of those knocked out. You want to do the rest of them in professionalism, or you may jump around a little bit, and that's okay. We want to try to have you have you focused and have all this kind of and just be completely random, but we want to tie this all together into your program so that it all aligns. Second part is the content component. And so the cool thing about the content component is you've really got some good options here. So some of you all may be thinking about, well, first of all, let's talk about PD. So I mentioned when I showed you our GRREC Ed staff, we've got people who are teaching all of these different areas. We don't have anybody in social studies right now, but pretty much everything else, we've got someone who is teaching content in that area. So you may say, hey, I want to learn more about STEM. Well, Dr. Dale Goatley is leading the STEM content program, and so he would be your content leader for STEM education. I'm doing some educational leadership things, so ed administration is the thing that I'm working on right now with a few candidates. But we've got a lot of different areas you can choose from, and you can find all those areas on our GRREC Ed webpage, which I'll refer you to later on. We're working right now to get our micro credentials together and ready for everyone to use. I don't know if you know about micro-credentials. I was not familiar with them until I started with GRREC Ed. But micro-credentials, um, this is really generalizing it, but someone said they look kind of like, it'd be kind of like getting your Google certification. So, you study, it's an exam. Micro-credentials work in the same way. And I've kind of likened them as well to somebody in a university course. So you can do them on your own time. You can create products, submit them for feedback and for grading, and then you complete those micro-credentials. So we can talk more about that once you get into the program and see if that's the route you want to take. But the other cool thing we have is the university option. So now this is only listing 3 areas on here, but on our website, we've looked and we have listed all the areas that the Western Kentucky University offers as a 4-course program or more, maybe a 5-course program. But what we require for GRREC Ed, if you go the university route, is 4 courses in a focus area, in your content area. So some of you all may consider or may have gotten your Gifted in Town certification, and you just went and got it, and it's just sitting there. And you've got it in case you need it, in case you want to apply for that position. You have it, and that's great, but you don't get a rank change from it. You don't get a pay increase. You don't get anything from that. You've got an incentive right now. If you're going to do GRREC Ed, you can do GT, you can do educational technology, you can do level 2 for school administration. I meant to look at the list. I think we've got 12 or 15 different things that you can choose from. So a lot of great options for you to go ahead and get that endorsement or certification, and you can add that to your teaching certificate and also complete 1 component of GRREC Ed. And then the last thing is a capstone. So it's just what you would think it would be if you've heard of a capstone project. And again, you get a lot of freedom to design this, come up with it, working with the GRREC Ed staff and determining what's best for your situation, what makes the most sense for you to create. And so here's just 4 ideas. You're not tied to these 4, but these hit what a lot of people might try to do. You might do something in the area of curriculum development. You might identify a problem, an issue, and design a project to address that issue. You might do a thesis. Some people are like, no, I've written enough in all my years of college. I don't want to do any more writing, and I get that. But that's one option for those who want to do that. And then the last thing is an intern project, and just an intern type program where you have a mentor and you help them identify a need or work through a situation or work on a big project or something. And so, again, keep in mind, I can't say it enough. We want to give you some options to decide what works best for you. We're not going to come to you and say, you got to do an internship at the end, or you got to do a field project. We want this to make sense. We want this to be flexible and useful and beneficial to you and your students. That was the Accomplished Educator, and Professional Educator Academy is exactly the same except for the classroom component. And so when you look at the classroom component for professional educators, it is based on the Kentucky Teacher Leader Standards. So you can skim over those real quick if you want to. Again, I'm not going to spend a lot of time on these. It's something you can study a little bit more if you'd like. It is on our website, and these will just be areas that you will study. You'll work on becoming a better practitioner in the area of teacher leadership. Content component, the same, and capstone component, also the same as the Accomplished Educator. All right, we're coming around third base and headed for the home stretch here. So what does it cost? A lot of people want to know what it costs. You've got 3 payment options. You can pay it all up front. We'll gladly take all your money right up front. We've got 85 people in the program right now. Super excited that we've got so many people who started off and trusted us in January. Y'all, this got approved at the end of October. And so in about 6 weeks, we got almost 100 people on board who trusted us, and it's going great. And we're getting so much good. And out of those 85 people, we had 2 or 3 pay the full 5,500. I don't think I could write a check for 5,500 today, but some people could. So we've broken it down a little bit more. So you could also pay 2 payments of $2,750, or an initial payment of $1,000, and then 3 more payments of $1,500 each. And again, details are on our website. You can click on it after our presentation. All right, so I don't know if you're one of those people who sits around and thinks about, okay, how much money am I going to make from this? What's the payoff going to be? Some people don't even realize over the course of 30 years, you're going to earn more than $1 million as a teacher. Um, obviously you're not going to, you've got bills to pay and things to do, but over the course of your 30 years, GRREC Ed can make a big difference. Every rank change you get, most districts, you're talking in the range of $4,000, $5,000 pay increase for each year that you're teaching, not to mention even retirement. But our financial person at GRREC, Dan Jones, did a little calculation here, and he just looked up one of the school districts in our area, or maybe took an average of school districts in our area. But he looked at a particular school district and he said, okay, we got educator A and educator B. They're both in year 6. They are making the same exact amount of money because they're in the same district and they got the same years of experience. So educator A is making $41,953, educator B, $41,953. Educator A is sitting in this meeting and they said, you know what? I think I'm going to try this. And so they pay $5,500 and they get started in GRREC Ed. Educator B says, you know what? I don't think it's for me. I don't have time. It costs too much. I don't want to spend $5,500. Maybe they forgot that you can pay that over time. But anyway, they say, I don't want $55. Ground, so they're both making the same amount of money. Year 8, that pay increase kicks in. And in year 8, educator A goes to $46,310. Educator B is making $42,128. They got the standard little $70, $80, $90 raise. If you add all that up over the course of the rest of their career, if they go to 30 years, educator A is going to earn a little over 1.3 million. Educator B is going to earn a little over 1.2. If we have this exact scenario, and we know that this will change over time, hopefully in 30 years, a year 7 salary won't just be $42,000. If everything stayed the same, it would be $80,000, and that's just over the course of your career. I'd love to factor in a 1% pay increase. Of course, we don't all get that every year, but it'd be interesting to see. This certainly could be well over $100,000 in your salary between a few $100 a year. To our website, it's a bit link. So if you go to bit.ly, it's super easy. It's GRREC Ed, bit.ly/GRREC Ed. So you want to jot that down, or again, if you want to get on our Twitter page here in just a few minutes, we've got that linked. So we'd love for you to check that out and take a little bit more time exploring what's there. We got the details of the program, some of your content options, some potential leadership projects. I've got all our staff profiles, and you can take a look at everyone we've got involved with GRREC Ed. Payment options, a lot of frequently asked questions. So as we've gotten questions over the last few months, we've assembled those and put them together so that you can review those. So a couple of options here. One, you think, well, I'm kind of interested in this. I'd like to stay in contact with GRREC Ed, know what's going on, get an email once in a while, that sort of thing. I'm not going to wear you out. You're not going to have to hit unsubscribe from GRREC Ed because we're going to wear you out with emails. We'll probably shoot you 1 or 2 emails per semester. Just check in with you, see if it's something that if you don't apply now, if it's something you're interested in applying for next fall, for next January of 2022. But then, you may sit through this and you might say, man, Dan Costello told me everything I need to know. This is perfect. This is exactly what I've been looking for. And you may click on that link and apply today. And if you want to, that's great. We've got about, look, just before this meeting, I think we had 35 applicants already for this fall. And so our orientation will probably have an exact date, but we're looking at about the last week of July for an orientation. It'll be about a day and a half orientation, probably a few hours one night, maybe all the next day. Of course, our first one back in the end of December, we did all of that virtual. We've not decided exactly what the format would be. We may do a hybrid option where you've got the option of coming to GRREC or doing it from home on Zoom. But we'll talk more about that once we get a little bit closer to time. So, and applications can be accepted anytime. You might be sitting there thinking, I'd love to do this, but I've got something else going on. I'm got new curriculum or something. I'm really working hard. I just don't know how much time. I just had a baby. We've got somebody who just had a baby last started in January, so I got her hands full, but she's making it work. But for whatever reason, you may say, hey, you know what? I'm gonna hold off till January of 2022. You can go ahead and apply, and there's no obligation for you to be in GRREC Ed if you apply. We'll take your application, we'll get all your information together, and once we get your money, we feel like you're probably committed at that point, and we'll have you included in everything, get you into a cohort of other students. But if you apply right now and you say, even if it's for July, August, this fall semester, we get close to time and you're like, hey, something's come up, I think I'm gonna hold off. No problem. It's a no application application. We just have your information on both of these if you choose to fill out those forms. 29 minutes, actually a little less than that because we started a couple minutes late, gave everybody time to get on here. But those are the three main source of communication you need to keep in mind. Our website, again, it's a bit.ly link, GRREC Ed. Email, you can email me, and I'm dan.costello@grrec.org, or you can send an email to grreced@grrec.org. I would encourage you to check your junk mail, check your spam, because Outlook and Google don't particularly like grrec.org emails, and a lot of times they go to junk. And sometimes we get in a situation where we tell somebody, hey, I emailed you that. And they're like, no, you didn't. We're like, check your junk. And oh, there it is. Okay, got it. So check your junk email for GRREC emails. And but you can email me, and I check that account. So I'm on there 2 or 3 times a week, and I'll respond to you as quick as I can. Certainly, we hope you'll follow us on GRREC Ed Twitter page. But there is the GRREC Kentucky. So if you want to follow GRREC, it's the bottom one. If you want to follow GRREC Ed, it is the top. So I have talked almost nonstop for 27 minutes, and I'm ready to take a little break. I'm going to take a swig of sweet tea, and I want you to think for just a minute about any questions that you have. Again, I appreciate you all getting on here. Man, it's we're right here, and hopefully the 1-year anniversary of COVID will bring some big change. Do something besides all the crazy stuff done, but I know your lives are super busy. They always are, but I appreciate your time today, and I hope that I've shared something with you that's informative and helpful. But I want to give you just a few minutes. I'm going to open this up and ask me any questions that you have. If you are done, you've heard enough, either good or bad, and you're like, nah, not interested, see you later, no problem. If you need to go, no problem. Please contact me. If you have questions, email me, give me a shout. Give me a call. I'll be happy to. I've set up some one-on-one Zooms, and just people have 3 or 4. Happy to talk to you. Happy to work you through those situations and figure out if you or how. Again, whether you for a few more minutes and listen, or whether take your time. I can't tell y'all, I mean, I know I sound like a salesman when I'm saying this, but man, GRREC Ed has been such a good program. If you've got anybody in your district who you know is doing GRREC Ed, I hope you'll talk to them and say, hey, how's it going? Is it everything Costello says it is? Are you working with people? Are you designing your own program? Somebody tell me and tell me this so we can work some things out. But we've got such a great staff. We got candidates. And I can't believe how well things are going for our program this spring. I'm looking forward to a new group of people this fall. So with that, I'm going to stop talking, and I'm going to listen to you right now.
Do we choose our mentor, or are those assigned to us?
Okay. Heather, I think that was you talking, and I didn't hear hardly anything you said. So I apologize. Can you?
That's okay. Do we choose our mentor, or are those assigned to us? It's in the chat box, if it's easier to see.
Okay, I am so sorry. Yeah, And I'm doing this by myself, so I've not looked at the chat. So I'm going to skim through here real quick. I apologize if you want to
That's okay.
go ahead. I'll skim through here and see what's here. Looks like you all are introducing yourself. Yep, we got several from Bremen here, Owensboro, Brandenburg. Okay, so do we choose our mentor or is one assigned? We're going to work with somebody in your district is assigned to work with GRREC Ed. And so we're going to work with them to try to get a good mentor for you. We have kind of gone in between either them picking or you having some input. I really want to work with, I want to make it a good fit. That's the bottom line. We don't want to just do it to you and say, this is your person and it not be a great fit. We want our points of contact for each district to hopefully work with you and with the mentor and find somebody who's a good fit for you and what you're trying to do. So can the money for this program be student loans or do we cover out of pocket? I don't think you can take a student loan from like Student Loan Corporation for this. You can go to your bank and just take out a small loan. That's something that you can do, or a line of credit on your home. Lots of options that banks, I'm sure, would give you. Again, especially for like a home equity line of credit is one great way to do it. That is tax deductible. So it would be just like taking a student loan as far as if you itemize deductions, it would come off your taxes. Okay, Neil says, yeah, the program's a lot less expensive than a traditional university. Neil, that's right. I'm not going to want to say which university, but I did look to see what, even with the educator discount, what the tuition would be for a typical, like a rank 1 program or master's program. You're looking at just tuition at around $11,000, $10,000 to $11,000. So we are about half of what they are. And there's nothing, obviously, good gracious. And you know, Western State University is a partner of ours, and we work with them, and we're encouraging our candidates to go through them for these. But if you're looking for a full rank change and you can do GRREC Ed, then yeah, if we're going to provide what you need for your professional journey, then it is definitely quite a savings over a lot of university programs. An example of what the content and class components would look like with social emotional learning. Well, we'll say the classroom components are going to be more, now, everything might be kind of in that, through that lens. Like if you're doing something about classroom environment, you may do it from the lens or from the standpoint of, okay, social emotional learning is my focus. So when I'm doing the classroom parts, I want it to be through that lens of social emotional learning rather than math, for example. So everything you do, if that's what you're wanting to, if you pick a particular area, whether it's math or SEL or physical education or leadership, we want everything you do, whether it's part of the content or the classroom components, to line up with that content. So yeah, I mean, as far as saying specifically what it would look like, the cool thing is you get to design some of this. You work with people in our program and you get to design things that work for you. Can you give me a quick thumbs up? Let me know if you're hearing me okay. Am I cutting in and out? Am I good? Perfect. All right, I'll roll on. All right, Neil's gone here. It looks like it says he has fat fingers. So we'll move on. Okay, so with micro credentials, I'm a little confused. Do you choose 1 or 4 different ones? Great question. So Mandy, with micro credentials, we've been working out a partnership with Bloomboard. They've started developing some of our initial ones and are continuing to build some micro credentials. So you would choose 4 micro credentials over the course of 4 semesters. So you would start in the fall, you take your first one next fall, second one next spring, and then so on for year 2. So you do those. The cool thing is you can do them on your own time. They typically, if you were to do them on your own, they would cost about $350. We do cover that. There's no additional cost. And that's one thing I didn't mention through my presentation, but there's no additional cost for anything except for university courses. So if you say, I want to get my EL endorsement as a part of the content component, then you would have to pay your tuition through the university. You know, be a few $1,000s. So obviously we can't cover that. But when it comes to micro credentials, if that's something you're interested in, then you can, we'll take care of those for you. And there's a link to some information about micro credentials on our website. Adam said, my content is social studies. Will I be able to implement educational technology? Absolutely. Terry Stice is a technology guru at GRREC, does a fabulous job with technology, and she is leading the educational technology group for the content portion, and you learn a whole lot from her. So if that's something you want to do. When will we find out if our application was accepted for the fall cohort? You know, the cool thing is everybody who applied, thank you, Tucker, everybody who applied for January got in. It worked out perfectly. We had just the right amount of spaces. I thought we were going to put a few people on a waiting list. Here's what I'd say, and again, I don't want to sound like I'm giving you this hard sales pitch here and rushing you into it. If you're still thinking about it and need a little bit more time, please don't just, well, here's one thing you can do. One, you can go ahead and fill out the application. As I told you, you're not obliged to be a part of GRREC Ed. Now, I don't want 40 people filling out applications and thinking, well, we got 40 people who are interested who are just trying to get their name on the list. If you feel pretty confident that this is something for you for next fall, go ahead and fill out the application. And we'll be in touch with you, and we'll kind of see how things go over the next couple of months. And we'll start really by early to mid-May, really start trying to home in on the people who are wanting to for sure start. In fact, we'll start collecting money. And it's kind of like I said earlier, we know if we don't have your money, we probably don't have your commitment. So, but I think you've got some time. If you needed a couple more weeks or so to think about it, don't just like jump on there right now and think, oh my gosh, I got to do this. Go home, talk to your spouse, think about it, give it a few days, jump back on the next week or two, and I think you'll be fine. But again, certainly no worries with applying if you change your mind in a few weeks or a couple of months. So, Mandy, thank you for your comment. Faith says, wondering the same thing. I've already applied. Great. Yeah, a few of you all, I know you had applied, and I told you to get on here just to learn a little bit more about our program. So, really excited to have you all on board. So. And those have been a terrible example of interactive teaching and student participation, because I'm just yelling all this stuff at you and you're giving me a little bit of feedback. But certainly, again, we'll take a few minutes here. If you want to unmute or if you want to type in a comment, just let me know. Hop on here. Anybody else? I'll give you another minute, 30 seconds or a minute. Nobody jumps, then we'll let you jump. We'll let you get out of here, finish up your day, and hopefully get to the house if you're not already there. Thank you, Diane. Thank you. All right. Well, with that, I'm going to cut this off. And again, please go to our Twitter page. It's at GRREC Ed, or just search for us on Twitter. Look for us, type in GRREC Ed. I think we'll come up. Again, worst case scenario, you can email me. I'm going to put my name. If you're still here, you're going to get my email address in the chat box. Type with my fat fingers. There we go. dan.costello@grrec.org. So hang on to that. Shoot me a message. Put that in your drafts. And after you get your questions together, shoot me a message, and I'll be glad to meet with you on a Zoom meeting or a phone call, or certainly respond to your emails. So thank you so much. Have a great afternoon, and hopefully we'll be in touch and hear more from you very soon. Have a great day.